this is always a weird one for me to answer. And I may have said this on the podcast before, but like people have asked me about that before. And they're like, hey, like, how did you study for the level 3? And the short answer, and this is not to suggest that I'm smart at all, but the answer was like, I didn't study. I was just nerding out on the content all the time. So when they got there, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to study. I was like, I've just been learning these things forever at this point. Back in the day, I went through the journal and I had like pulled down and downloaded all the videos off the journal. So this is probably 2013,
Yeah.
probably. I had downloaded all the videos from like 5 years prior to that. And I had categorized them by, level 1, level 2, the type of movement, the nutrition videos. And I would just watch them on a rerun. And it was probably north of 100 videos. Well, it was hours of content, I'll tell you that. And, when I was part of how I learned to coach was, I would watch some of those snippets from like old level 2s, stuff that was just like Boz was in there, Austin Begebing was in there, just like really, really old videos at this point that are probably from, early 2000s, like 2009, 8 probably. And I would just watch the video and I would just do what they did when that thing came up. And that's how I kind of like a lot of how I learned how to coach was just watching those videos. And then the rest of it was like the book stuff. It's like learning the theoretical hierarchy for the development of an athlete, you know, learning programming, understanding fitness and all that kind of stuff. But when I got there, I was essentially prepared at that point. I had been programming, I'd been training, I'd been coaching movement. So it was like, what more was I going to do? I've been prepping for 5 years essentially.
Yeah, and it's funny because I always say I didn't study, but you're right. Like I had done the same thing, like over the years, especially as we were both interning for the seminar staff. I mean, I
Right.
remember watching Justin Berg teach the overhead squat. I remember watching
Right.
Andy Stumpf teach the air squat, like these old
Right.
videos. So, while I didn't necessarily study specifically for that exam, I've been studying. And I think, when people ask us, hey, what should I do to prepare for the level 3? First and foremost, it's be coaching. You need to be in the affiliate. You need to have that time under tension, and you need to be putting in those hours.
Yeah. It's been so long as I've taken it. So number one, like nobody can guarantee that you're going to pass the level 3, right? It's been so long. I couldn't even tell you what the questions are. Like, not that I would, but I couldn't recall if I wanted to, what was in there. But the coaching thing is important. I think that's where a lot of people get hung up when they're watching the videos, and watching movement videos is hard enough versus real time. But then if you're struggling to see movement in that environment when you're under a time crunch, in kind of a two-dimensional format, can be overwhelming, right? And if you're not used to looking at movement, you're going to get quickly, a lot of things will drown out what you should be seeing, and you're so busy looking that you're just like, then standard, you don't read the question. You're like, what's the common fault in the group or something like that, you know? So just weird things like that, where you can look at a short snippet of video and be able to dissect it very quickly, to kind of eliminate things that are not important. Same thing with questions about programming. It's just like if you don't do a lot of programming, you can get caught up in the weeds and programming questions instead of just answering the question through the lens of CrossFit or GPP.
Yeah, and that's it. I think the big thing is once you're actually sitting at the exam, it's, take your time, don't rush, go through, answer the ones you're positive about, go back through and mark off, I need to revisit these questions, but look at it through the lens of CrossFit, look at it through the lens of what you already know. Too many people, I think this is just in general with test taking, try to overthink it. It's like the answer's in front of you. One of the answers is correct. Which one makes the most sense through the
Right.
lens of we do CrossFit?